Hello and welcome to this video. I'm Nafis Alam, the Program Coordinator of the Global Mentorship Program. If you're planning to apply for a postgraduate research program in the UK, you might have noticed that the process has recently become much more challenging. The UK government has introduced stricter rules for universities, which means institutions are now being far more careful about who they admit as their international student. This doesn't mean the universities don't want international students anymore. What it means, they now need to be absolutely confident that applicants are genuine with a real academic purpose. One of the key ways universities judge this through your personal statement. You might be wondering, how can one document possibly prove that I am a genuine student? In this video, I'll explain how universities actually read your personal statement, what small but important details make a big difference, and how you can clearly show that you are serious about pursuing a research degree, even if you are feeling unsure or new to the process. In the recent past, we have seen something very worrying. Many universities have stopped processing applications, delayed decisions, or rejected candidates outright, even those with good academic results. And when we speak to the admissions team, supervisors, and the research offices, they tell us one thing very clearly: we are not seeing genuine research intentions in the applications. In simple terms, universities are no longer convinced that many applicants truly understand what a research degree is or what they are genuinely prepared for a research career. And this is where the personal statement or the SOP becomes absolutely critical. A research SOP is not the same as a Toastmasters SOP. I have talked more about the Toastmasters SOP in a separate video. Many students reuse the undergrad personal statement, MBA style motivation letter, or generic templates copied from the internet. And this is exactly why applications fail. At research level, the SOP is not about passion alone, childhood dreams, or saying I want to study at a top university. Instead, the SOP is treated as evidence. Universities use it to assess whether you understand what research actually involves, whether you can think critically, whether you have a clear research direction, and whether you can realistically survive 3 to 4 years of independent research. In other words, your SOP answers one core question: is this applicant a genuine future researcher or just someone applying randomly? If the answer is unclear, the application stops there. In this video, I'm going to explain how can you construct a personal statement, what are the do's and don'ts, demonstrate an Oxford-style personal statement that shows genuine research intent. I will also show you step by step how we prepare students in our mentorship program to write the SOPs. Before I show you an Oxford-style example, let me quickly explain the basic structure that every strong research SOP should follow. A successful research SOP usually has 5 core parts. Part 1: who you are and what you want to research. You must clearly state your academic identity, the program you're applying for, and the broad research focus. No confusion, no storytelling, just clarify. Part 2: academic and research background. Here, you will explain your degree, relevant modules, dissertation or research projects, methods or tools you have used. This section answers, can this person handle academic research? Part 3: research or professional experience. This includes research assistant roles, lab work, industry projects with analytical depth, conferences, posters, or publication. Even Limited experience is fine as long as it explains properly. Part 4. Why this university and supervisors? You must show you understand the department, you know the research group, you must identify a supervisor whose work aligns with yours. In this case, you can identify more than one supervisor. Generic praise or template words does not work here. Future research goals and conclusions. Finally, you explain what kind of researcher you want to become, why this program is essential for that journey, and what you bring to the research community. These are the questions that needs to be answered for crafting a perfect SOP. Let us analyze a personal statement where a student is applying for a neuroscience PhD at the University of Oxford. Let us analyze each section in order to reflect the 5 core structures that we discussed previously. In the first section, the applicant clearly identifies the research identity and purpose. This is the opening paragraph where the applicant establishes that they are a future researcher with a clear academic identity and a defined research direction. In short, the applicant states who they are, what they want to study, and how they want to study it. Why a PhD is necessary. There is no storytelling here. This is a professional academic opening. If we analyze the personal statement a bit further, here we can see the applicant introduced themselves as a future neuroscientist. And what they want to study has a very clear goal, which is the sensory motor integration. By doing experiment and with a bit of theory, they want to reach towards their goal. In the second section, the applicant mentions about the academic background and research origins. It comes from their personal story. The applicant explains how their interest in research has developed. You will notice something very important here. They briefly mention a personal influence, but they quickly move to the academic decisions. Here, the piano story is not the focus. The focus is declaring the major, joining a lab early, designing a real experiment, identifying a research gap, and recognizing limitations of existing models. This section proves that the research interest grew naturally through academic work. In the third section, the applicant shows the skill development and their intellectual progression. Now, the applicant shows how they actively prepared for research. They talked about attending a major research conference, being exposed to theoretical experiment work, and then deliberately adding quantitative subjects to their studies. This tells the university that the applicant didn't wait until graduation to think about research, they planned for it. This research answers the question, has the student intentionally built the skills needed for PhD? This section answers the question, has the student intentionally built the skills needed for a PhD? Let's move on to the fourth section, which is the advanced research experience and outputs. In the following paragraphs, the focus shifts to serious research work. Here, the applicant describes working in another lab, designing experiments, developing models, presenting at conference, and preparing journal manuscripts. If we refer to the particular personal statement, you will see that the applicant mentioned about their lab experiences, talks about the designs of their experiment, building a Bayesian model, presents work at conference, and prepares a first authored manuscript. This is no longer a student level work. This is their ultimate exposure in the real world. This is where the application becomes very strong. The university can now see the applicant is already working at the level as a junior researcher, not just a student completing their coursework. In the sixth section, the applicant mentioned about the research maturity and motivation. Now we see a reflection. The applicant talks honestly about the challenges of the research, where they mentioned about the failed experiment, persistence, and their patience. This is very important. The applicant shows intellectual growth. They acknowledge their behavioral methods, which are useful but also not sufficient alone to do by themselves. What are the things that they did to overcome their shortcomings? What the applicant has mentioned to overcome their fear of their failed experiment is by learning neurophysiology, working with animal model, collect neural data, and contribute to manuscripts. Universities want students who understand that research is difficult but also still find it rewarding. This section reassures the panel that the applicant is mentally prepared for the realities of PhD. The seventh section, which is very important and can act as a decider of the personal statement, which is the supervisor and department fit. This is one of the most critical sections. Here, the applicant names specific supervisors, explains why their work is relevant, and even mentions previous academic interactions. This proves the application is not generic and they have put an effort to find out about the researcher in that particular institute. To explain further on this, the applicant mentions the names of the supervisors that they find fit, explains why their work is relevant to their research intention, mentions methods that they want to learn, shows prior communication with faculty. The university wants to see the applicant knows exactly where they fit within the department. To sum up the whole paragraph, the final section mentions the institutional resources and concludes their understanding. The final paragraph brings everything together. The applicant links Oxford research facilities and collaborative environment in their own goals and clearly explains how this program is the next step in their training. What this paragraph does, that it connects institutional resources to research goals, emphasizes on collaboration, ends with a societal impact. It closes the SOP with purpose and direction, not repetition. A strong ending like this leaves the admission panel confident and not uncertain. Universities are looking for students who understand what research involves and can clearly explain why they are pursuing it. Following a structured approach like the one explained in this video, you can create your own personal statement. Thank you for watching. If you find this video helpful, give us a thumbs up, and I wish you all the very best in your research application journey.